Hello, for this flight I just want to start with a few takeaway lessons to share, actually four. Number one, check out or scope out the place you're flying to make sure that it's not going to have any hazards for your drone or hazards for people there. In this case, in this flight, I'm flying through a particular gap in some trees. A prior flight, which I have linked in my description, I fly up and over the trees, which is very awkward to do in FPV mode, because you can't really see where the trees are under you, particularly when the leaves are off like this. So you'll see me going through that gap. Second, take time to ensure that the recording is very complete when you're done. I've gotten home and discovered my recording has disappeared, and one of the issues is what they call the battery pull problem. You take the battery out too quickly. So make sure that your recording is stopped, and stop it manually using the goggles if needed, and then wait 5 to 10 seconds after stopping the recording to pull the battery, and make sure you turn off the battery first. To ensure that the buffer writing to memory is complete. Then third, bring sunglasses if you're flying FPV, because it gets pretty bright out there after you've had the glasses on for a while. And then fourth, there's a question: can you use the joystick of the RC Motion 3 at the same time you're doing the yaw tilt of the wrist? And the answer is yes. So if you want to have those shots where you have a subject in the center and you're flying sideways and have yaw at the same time, to keep that subject centered, kind of like you're flying around a tower or something, and you want the tower to stay in the middle of view as you're flying around it, you can use the joystick tilt as well as the yaw tilt of your wrist simultaneously with the RC Motion 3. So that's the gap I was talking about. As you can see, I can get from the field I started at over to this larger field, which I call the dog park field, without having to fly up and over the trees. If you check out my previous video in this location, you'll see that it's kind of a pain going up and over the trees. It's doable, not really a problem, but going through that gap was a much more enjoyable experience. And you don't really risk hanging up on the trees because you can kind of see where you're going. So this is one more lesson, flying at 11 in the morning on a weekday before people are taking lunch breaks here at the dog park. You get the park to yourself. So 11 o'clock is kind of a magic hour. As you can see, I'm just gonna do a few figure eights here. Still getting used to flying this thing, and flying figure eights low to the ground. I can't say I kept it level the whole time. You'll see sometimes I pull up and back and get higher elevation than maybe desired, but it's a good exercise. You have a nice open space like this, you get a good feel for the drone flight, and sometimes, in FPV mode, it's kind of hard to tell where things are to your sides. So this is a good way of getting a little experience with that. I'm just flying in normal mode, as you can see the N in the lower left here. About 70% of the battery still remains here. So nothing more than that. Pretty soon here I'm going to break out of these figure eights and take the drone up to its maximum altitude, which is 400 feet. There may be a way to break that and make it go higher. At this stage, I'm not terribly interested in doing that. You can see the H off there to the right. That was where I started from. I think this is where I start to ascend and take her up. Now you can see the cloud there above, the bottom of the clouds. You'll notice as I get higher that actually I am starting to reach near the bottom of those clouds, which I thought was kind of interesting. The drone at 400 feet is starting to reach that bottom deck of the clouds. I'm flying in a park right next to the Johns Hopkins Homewood campus in Baltimore, Maryland. Again, there you can see the clouds. You're starting to actually get up near them. Here I'm at 300 feet, climbing up to 390 something feet. Then I'll take a peek down. For those who have fears of height, you know, this does kind of, there you can see the Hopkins, a couple of the play fields, the campus in the background, the neighborhood near Hopkins. Nice little spin around. You can see a parking garage with a lot of solar panels on it. That's kind of featured in the previous flight in this area. And it's a pretty hazy day. Sometimes the hazy days are the days you really need the sunglasses, when you pop your head out of the goggles. So there you are, looking down 400 feet. There's a little stream off to the right, Stony Run. Spinning around, you can see that the snowy part of the field is where the shade is. It's a little lower elevation than that field off to the left where the H is. That's the home. That's where I am flying from. Now you can see the evergreen trees. They're right in the middle of the screen. I've got the drone flying right towards that. That's the gap that I scoped out on foot, walking around this area. I've got it at maximum speed in normal mode. I don't think it's telling me the speed here on this screen. Maybe I can add that to the screen. And now I'm going on down through that gap, and we'll bring it in for a landing, and that will end the flight. So there you go. Thanks for joining me on this flight in this soggy field, and I will leave it there.